What's up again, everybody? How's it going? I've recorded this intro 14,000 times, and I have not liked any of the times I've said it, so I'm just gonna do it one more time and say, screw it, whatever happens, happens. Okay, so I've made a list for this video. This video is a little bit different. If you didn't know, we have like a 15-day time limit, or it's countdown, I should say, until we have the Modern 2020 rotation. If you're not sure what that is, the Modern format is basically a limited format wherein only the most recent sets of Dice Masters are allowed for, building a team. Okay, you can't use sets from like all the way back from when the game came out in 2015 because that's Golden Age. Modern Age is like a smaller chunk of that. Well, in 15 days, Modern Age will shift up. Certain sets will leave Modern Age and join the Golden Age forces, and other sets will sort of have their time in the sun. Well, I've compiled a list of cards that are rotating out, and this is the top 5 cards that this community is most excited to see leave Modern. Okay, these are not these are not generally enjoyable cards to play against, and so I feel like the list that I have here is going to be a good representation of what most people are excited to see leave Modern Age, with one caveat. Okay, I did not include Shriek Sonic Beam on this list because technically that card is already rotated. So I have 5 other cards. If I did include that card, that would be like the number 1 for most people because everybody kind of hates that card because it's not very fun to play against. So I have 5 other cards that are pretty much not very fun to play against, and we're going to go through them, starting with my pick for number 5, Bishop, Butterfly Effect. If you don't know Bishop, this card is, I will say, it didn't see like the tippy top of competitive play, but if you were playing in like a sort of casual competitive, like in that mid-level range, and you came up against this card, and you were playing any win condition that pushed non-physical damage, non-combat damage, burn damage of any sort, which for the lifetime of this card essentially has been the meta, this card just stopped you. It's a 5 cost. It stops all non-combat damage to the player that controls it. It has a huge defensive value, and it was so annoying to play against when you were trying to play like a burn win condition, that very, very few people actually enjoyed playing against this card. I mean, who does enjoy playing against control? But the point being, this card is not a fun one. And I know, well, me, for example, I am excited to see it go away because I do like burn win conditions. And so this is a nice one to have fading off into the sunset. Plus, with a shift to combat damage teams, it's kind of a nice timing for this one to hit the road, I guess is the right way to say it. So this is my pick for number 5. Number 4 is Wonder Woman Reflections. I think you're going to start noticing a trend here. That last one was a control piece. This one is also a control piece. Wonder Woman Reflections says, while she's active, when fielded and when attacks abilities are ignored. Okay, so this essentially just shuts down a whole host of really fun when fielded, when attacks conditions, just dead in the water. Okay, this kills so many things. And again, if you're playing like mid-level kind of casual competitive play, maybe like a fun tournament here or there, this card can literally just nerf your team. And if you didn't bring Shriek, Sonic Beam, or some way to remove, like maybe action-based removal, some way to remove this, it just killed your team. Like Intimidate was like the only thing, and then some action-based removal that wasn't very often played. These were the ways to shut this off, because again, this protects itself by shutting off when fielded and when attacks abilities. So if you didn't have like a board wipe or action-based removal or Intimidate, then this card just kind of wrecked your team if you were relying on any win condition or even just powerful effect that involved when fielded or when attacks abilities. I am so glad to see this go away because I find those to be super fun abilities to use within the game, and I'm sure a lot of you do too as well. This card doesn't often see play, especially at the highest level. It didn't see too many people like running it and playing it because those things are so finely tuned that they just beat you anyway. But in the mid tier, which is where most people play, or in the very casual setting where you're just playing around the kitchen table with friends, this is an unfun card that no one enjoys putting down unless you had some way to win with it. And maybe you built a Justice League team with this or something. Either way, this was just a generally not nice card, and I know I'm glad to see it going away. Let me know what you think about this card in a comment below, and feel free to use whatever words you wish. Number 3 is Yuan-Ti Pureblood Lesser Humanoid. Now, the common Yuan-Ti, it's not the same level as Super Rare Yuan-Ti. We can all agree that Super Rare Yuan-Ti definitely needed the boot. That needed to be banned like far before it actually was banned. But common Yuan-Ti is still incredibly annoying, and I'll tell you why. For me, I find this card to be overpowered, and why I'm glad to see it kind of go away in favor of things that are similar to it but less ridiculous. Okay, so first of all, we have a 2-drop. You are going to have to pay more likely than not to field it. The top side's a 3/3, but most of the time you can ping this off beforehand. So those are some limiting factors, the fielding cost and the low defense on level 1 and level 2. But you get an incredibly powerful effect in Attune. Okay, incredibly powerful. Attune is super, super good. In fact, it's going to continue to be good as long as they print it. And if it's ever printed on a low-cost character, I don't know, like the Volo from the upcoming, or from the, it's already out, the Trouble in Waterdeep set, it's just a really, really good ability that you should always keep your eye out for. So if you ever see a low-drop Attune character, remember it, because it's probably going to be pretty good in some way, shape, or form. But it doesn't stop there. That would have been good enough. This card would have been played because it's a Bolt character and it has Attune for cheap. Then it has the just straight up, if you play an ability on an action die, if you play an action die, this can't be blocked. So, and this is, for me, this is the crux of the problem with this card. Anything printed in a game of Dice Masters that says can't be blocked if you do this, this, or this, or just can't be blocked, can immediately create unfun scenarios, because at that point, you're just creating a game of solitaire. Like, Dice Masters is super nuanced enough, but if you're playing at these mid-tier to low-tier, like difficulty levels, casual, semi-competitive kind of tournaments, you're not necessarily sitting down with the answers to unblockable characters. You may just be trying to do something really, really fun, or play a theme team or something like that. And if that's the case, and your opponent has Yuan-Ti Pureblood or something else that has an unblockable ability that is innate within itself, all you have to do is meet one simple requirement, you're probably just going to have a bad time playing that person. If their roles come together even a little bit, it's probably just going to be an incredibly unfun scenario because you can't do anything to stop it. There's no counterplay. If you didn't bring something that pushes an attacker out of the attack zone back into the field zone, then there's just no counterplay to this. Pinging it out and then pushing it back are your only real options, or hoping that they miss. Without those kind of counters, this is just incredibly unfun to lose to, which I don't know if you've ever experienced it, but I've experienced it a fair bit where I'm like, I want to try this cool thing. I want to try this random thing. I want to try this. And then I sit down to play with people and it's unblockable and it's just a clock. And clocks are cool sometimes, but man, this one's just too easy. This one's just too easy. If you had some more hoops to jump through, that would be more interesting. But this one's just a little bit, for me, too easy. So I don't know about you, but I'm glad to see this one go as well. Now, this next one does not actually bother me too much. I actually kind of enjoy the little mini game that number 2 here that I chose. I think I will say too. I think number 2 and number 1 could be interchangeable. I think really all of these could be mixed around in any way, shape, or form that you wish. But I will say that number 2 for me doesn't really bother me too much. But I have heard so many people that are glad to see this one go, and that is Green Devil Mask Lesser Trap. Number 2 on this list, I will say, is probably a pretty good spot for it because there's a lot of people that hate this card. A lot of people that hate seeing this die in the field zone. There's some really interesting things that you can do with this. I think it's a really cool control piece. I like the idea of punishing wide boards and keeping things low, and then doing a lot of things on the back end. Maybe this is literally just their to keep their board low so that you can push physical damage attackers. That seems kind of cool. Or maybe you're playing this to keep their board low so that you can take damage at a lesser extent and then push, burn damage on the back end. Either way, this seems like a really fun, cool card. I've played it a fair bit. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that have played it. This is highly competitive. That Caminante I would also call pretty highly competitive as well, but this is very highly competitive. It was played all over Worlds last year. This is a very, very mean, very strong, very powerful card. There's going to be a lot of people that are okay with this one going away because it does take away from the fun that you can have by, just putting simple characters out, making an extra stipulation on what you can do, what you can't do with your board, or playing around it. A lot of people were bothered by. Personally, I actually kind of enjoyed the play around aspect of it. It's like, okay, maybe I feel the sidekick now and then feel these other things, or hope that they, get wiped and then do this next thing. I think that's kind of cool, but it is definitely definitely an unfun card, to say the least. And the final card, I'm pretty sure we can, I think, universally hate this card together. I know I do, and I am going to be glad to see it go. And I've played this my fair share as well. The reason I put this as number one is because I think this is just across the board universally hated. And that is Switch. Scarlet Witch, careful what you wish for. This card sucks, man. This card is the worst. I hate this card, and I'm gonna play it pretty soon, just because it fits on what I need to do to win games in a moment. But this card is disgusting. It's mean. Nobody likes it. The counterplay to it is insane, because you have to have some form of removal that removes it for your turn and your opponent's turn, like on your turn, then all through your opponent's turn, and then back to your turn when you're rolling your actions. Because of the way that the ability works, because it affects dice in the roll and reroll step, you can't actually do like many things at all to stop this from affecting your action dice rolls. Your goals are like, bring a ping, or hope your opponent brought a ping, save 3 bolts, and ping it off during your opponent's turn, force it to attack, and take either 1, 3, or 5 damage on top, which is disgusting. Or hope to roll your action dice through Switch by rolling it the first time, landing action, and then rolling it the second time and landing action. Okay, I can't think of another way to beat this that has been consistent or anything like that. This card is just that good. It's just that terrible, and I'm pretty sure that everybody, including myself, is excited to see this one go. So what do you think about this list? Are these the 5 cards you're most excited to see rotate out of Modern and into Golden Age? Let me know what you think about this list in a comment below. How would you rework the ordering? Would you put Green Devil Mask as number 1, or would you leave it as 2? Would you leave Scarlet Witch as number 1, or would you put something else ahead of it? Do you like all 5 of these cards, or any of these cards? Like, does one of these drop off the list? Let me know in a comment below, everybody, and as always, thanks for watching.